Hey guys, my name's Luka Kovac. I got top 8 at the Lansing, Michigan Regionals this Sunday. I played Dracotail at the event. Honestly, it was a really fun event. 9 rounds of Swiss, I think like 270 players. Had a lot of fun. Deck super fun, super interesting. A lot of like interesting gameplay happened just because the deck's very like intricate in terms of like gameplay and style. And it's very like customizable to like the player, which I really liked. And yeah, let's just get right into it. So I played 3 Lucius, 3 Malulu, 3 Phimena. This stuff's pretty obvious. These are the good names. And for the bad names, I played 2 Urgula, 2 Pan. So a lot of people have been like debating the ratios on this stuff. I personally went with 2 Urgula, 2 Pan. I know other people were playing like 3-1. There's like 3-2, 2-1, and even 1-1. But I think it's super important to have the second Urgula, especially in the grind game. Particularly because like Yummy can banish us from the graveyard using Lollipo, which is pretty bad if you're like in a grind game situation versus that deck, because a lot of time you can't break the board and kill them. And then I played 2 Pan because I felt like 3 was a little bit excessive, despite it being like the better of the 2 bad names because it pops a monster. It's kind of like the grave effect is kind of redundant, I feel like, and I didn't want to be drawing multiples, as well as it's like by itself, like it's not playable by itself, which I don't like. Same thing with Phimena, but Phimena is at least like a fusion summon. If you have a guy in hand, you can dodge like Imperms and Veilers and stuff with it, which I found was really important. But this card's like, it's kind of whatever when you draw it. I'm not too big a fan of it, so I decided to only play 2. For the other stuff, I played 3 King in the Swamp. I know people have been going back and forth on this stuff just because King in the Swamp is like, it doesn't actually increase your ceiling in this deck, I feel like, but it gives you more options in terms of playing, going second, as well as it gives you access to stuff like Guardian Chimera. And I thought it was better going second than Cartesia, and I think the dragons, are, like the Light and Dark Dragon, are just terrible, because like the Dragon Lock's just abysmal. I feel like every time I play those cards, they're just awful. Then for hand traps, I played 3 Nib. This card is the best card in the Dracotail deck, I'm not going to lie. Pairing this with anything in your hand and then you start looping Nib is like insane. 3 Ash, pretty standard. 3 Ogre. Ogre I thought was a really good choice just because Izuna is a really big issue in this deck, and you can just Ogre Lupus, it gets banished and they never have access to it again, especially on turn 0. And you also have access to, Ogre's like pretty decent into the Yummy matchup, and I felt like it had a pretty good spread into Vanquish Soul as well. It's bad into Dracotail. But my deck wasn't really prepped for too much of the mirror, which was my only 2 losses at the event. I played Santoli, who ended up getting 1st, and I also played Mike Thomas, who ended up getting 4th, I think. Deck wasn't built for the mirror, though, so it was built for Yummy and VSK9 because I thought that'd be what I expect the most. Card performed really well the entire weekend, or the entire day. But yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty solid, but like it's obviously not good into like Dracotail, so ended up costing me a couple games there. And then I played 3 Fua, 3 Perulia. This card I don't think should be in my main deck going forward. As much as it is like a really good card into VS K9. I felt like it's pretty subpar into Yummy. They're only going to give you 1 to 2 draws and still full combo, which is like, it's alright, it's not amazing. But I thought Perulia had particularly good spreads just as like a chummy into like whatever nonsense you're playing against. Like, I played Memento, and this card's pretty solid into that deck. I think I played him round 4, I want to say. But yeah, I think this should be in the side going forward. I think it should be Veilers in the slot instead. Just because you want more hand traps that are live to be drawing off of your Dracotail traps, which is like super important in the grind game. And then you also like Veiler, just like as much as it is not like amazing into like Yummy, or it has very good spreads into Vanquish Soul or K9, as well as Dracotail, where you can just you can Veiler Arthalion and just like cut off resources for a little bit, as well as versus VS K9 a lot of the times. If you do just Veiler like a Raisin or a Mad Love, it ends up being like very solid because a lot of times they won't have a second Vanquish Soul engine card just because the deck's very inconsistent in terms of how many starters it actually has as output. 3 Ketsu, 3 Rahu, standard stuff, 1 Poly, and then the 2 traps. That was it for the main. For the extra deck...
how many cards in the main?
40 on the dot. So for the extra deck, I played 3 Arthalion, 2 Gulamel, 1 Secretarion, 1 Mysterion. This card's super important because against a turn 0 Holy Sue, if you hold your 5 mana with the Pan in hand, you can go 5 mana effect, fuse a guy on a spellcaster and the Pan in hand, and make Mysterion. In response to the activation of the Sue to summon from hand. This is Chain Link 1 on Resolution to target the Sue to banish all Psychics on the field. You're not going to have any Psychics yourself, but it's going to be pretty important just to get rid of it, like in the resource, like in the grind game. And then Chain Link 2 is going to be Pan to set and pop. The pop actually matters a lot in that case, just because whatever they're going to be summoning off of the Sue is going to get popped by the Pan while the Sue's still getting banished, so they're basically wasting resources. And then for the rest of the extra deck, I played for the King Swamp stuff, Dragoon and Tyrant. This card I never summoned. The card should not be in my deck. Terrible card. I don't think I've made it once. In theory, it was supposed to be pretty decent. However, there's never been a situation that's arisen where I've burned through my yummy opponent's a Croaky Pop, as well as the Cookie Book, and then somehow had the resources to have King of the Swamp plus a dragon monster in the hand to make Tyrant with, while also being able to fusion summon. And then I played Guardian Chimera. I don't think I made this card once either today, but theoretically it was also supposed to be really good. It's come up before, it's just I don't know what happened today. I guess I didn't summon it because I didn't really draw King of the Swamp too much.
Did you summon Dragoon at all?
I summoned Dragoon once, and I ended up losing that game because it was a little bit unfortunate. I was playing the Dracotail mirror, and I was trying to go for game. So I used my Dragoon to negate a 5 mana, and then they went Ease in Effect, dump Lupus, Lupus summoned back, make Nash Knight, and then sucked up the Dragoon, and I just couldn't kill him. And then on the crackback, I just died. So that was it for the fusion monsters. I played 1 Typhon. This is pretty standard as well. Sometimes you need it. You're playing a hand trap deck, so you want it. And then I played Spirit and Seals. Yeah, I don't know about these cards, to be honest. I don't think they're, like, incredible because I'm not playing Cartesia. I think I made them maybe twice the whole weekend. They were alright. Seals you don't want to be making into VS K9 or like any K9 deck really, because if they go like they can like use Nash Knight to suck it up, and then it's like very unfortunate because you wasted a couple bodies to make it in a spot where SP would be better. SP you have to play this card just because it's just like a generic removal piece that sometimes the deck needs. You kind of struggle to out back row sometimes after the first regular pop. And then last card I played was Cross Sheep because sometimes there's like, it's like a very toolboxy card in this deck because you make the Cross Sheep and then you summon back the fusion monster and then you summon back another guy from the graveyard. I'd consider playing X Code Selene in this spot. I know Mike Thomas was playing it. He got top 4 as I mentioned earlier. Very good player. I played against him. Very unfortunate loss though. It happens. For the rest of the deck, I played 3 Phantasme. This card's incredible. I think this card's like the MVP of my side deck, despite not playing Yummy. I think I played 1 in round 7. But this card's like actually insane. Like when you start looping it with Arthalion, it feels so good when you're just drawing cards every turn, just gaining access to so much stuff. The effect in particular to stop targeting in the Yummy matchup's also really important. People say Yummy's like arguably your best matchup in the format, but I don't really think like the matchup is as good as everybody says it is. People are like, oh, it's like 80-20 in your favor. I think it's probably closer to 60-40. But I don't think it's particularly as good as people say it is, just because like their interactions in terms of like the actual Yummy cards don't interact particularly well with your Dracotail cards. However, they're still like Ash and Purge, which they both have access to, which is like pretty bad for your pushes going second. Like Purge on Ketu, Ash on Rahu is like a lot of the time like just game. And obviously there's still like outplay stuff that you can do with Heralds. And like sometimes it's just not a winnable game when you're like the deck is subject to variance, I will say. Sometimes you'll draw hands with multiple cards that just don't do anything. And Herald's very bad in those situations just because like you need a way to clear the Herald in order for your guys to go to the graveyard from hand or deck for your fusion summons, which is how you trigger the guys, get them all into rotation. But if you can't do that, you're just losing the game on the spot. I played 3 Droll. So this was originally for VSK9, but I didn't play too much of it throughout the event, so I sided this into Memento and stuff. I think I played 2 VSK9, never drew it, so it didn't really matter. I played 3 Pank. this card sucks. I don't think I'd ever play this card again. The idea was it trades really well into Herald of Arclight, but I felt like the card was just kind of awkward because you special the Pank, you go battle phase to try to clear it, and all of a sudden you don't have a battle phase and you can't kill, and now you're forcing yourself to grind with Yummy. In this slot would probably be the Perulias I was talking about earlier. Because like I just do not think that this card is as good as I thought it was. The Perulias would be moved from the main to the side, and then I'd play Veilers in the main. And then I played 3 Bell. This card's actually insane. This is probably the choice. I stopped siding Panks in at some point during the event for and just started siding in Bells and Phantasmes for the Perulias in the main, as well as I sided out 1 Urgula, 1 Pan, 1 King of the Swamp in the mirror and into the Yummy matchup, just because as much as Lollipop Banish is important, it's not going to come up as much, which I think is why Bell's like super strong right now. It has a really good Yummy matchup. Good Dracotail matchup as well. You can bell the traps, which is very important. Like, belling Flame is just the end of the game a lot of the time. You resolve 1 spell, you win, basically, is how the Dracotail deck works. So, the rest of the cards I played on the side, this was, like, the go first stuff I played. I played 1 Called By. It was super important for, like, for Ash, or, like, Fua. Fua not as much, but Ash is, like, super important to bell, or to Called By, just because, this stops Ash for 2 turns, which means you can stop Ash on your turn, and then on the pass back, they can't Ash the traps as well because it's just a -1. I played Prosp. This card's insane. And then the last card I played was Tikaboo because this card's also broken into like Yummy and Malice and all the nonsense decks. But yeah, that's it. Shoutouts to my cameraman, Matthew Brizenden. Shoutouts to the guys at Locals, Untouchables Mississauga. Shoutouts to my parents, as well as, you know, shoutouts to that one random Brazilian guy that seems to be beefing with me on the internet. And shoutouts to the Councilor Rubino. Anyways, thanks guys.